You're listening to an episode of GI Joburg. It's episode 213. My name is Steve. I'm joined by...
Smooth sounding Paul.
Ooh, damn. Impressed Rob is here too.
And we got a wham bam packed, cracked agenda tonight. It's an open agenda, so anything could happen. Let's bring various new and exciting items to the table. Like this, a little ditty that I'd like to bring to everyone's attention. If we're talking new shit, has anyone seen the most recent image of the Super 7 reaction figures all posed on a mountainous diorama set against a blue sky?
No, Cobra Commander, don't shoot that bird!
What do you fellas think of 5-point of articulation action figures advertised in this way? I mean, it does hark back to the way GI Joe figures were typically marketed. You know, they were on a kind of a landscape. But these guys are not those guys. These guys are different guys. These guys are GI Joe and Cobra mannequins. Was this a successful ad campaign, or did this do those figures a disservice? Discuss.
In the eyes of a long-running GI Joe fan, I find that it's quite obvious how stiff they are. The terrain only makes them more stiff-looking.
Agreed. Rob,
Yeah, they do kind of look out of place. I think they should have just displayed them in their packaging. That's where these figures should remain.
Although Destro still looks badass.
They've done
Absolutely.
it. They've done package shots. They obviously wanted to ramp up their marketing because these do drop in September, which is, I mean, it's a breath away. I think the pre-orders are all up, so if you really want to order some Kenner GI Joe action figures, circa 1978, this is your chance.
You want to feel like you're back in the 70s again? Yeah, it does feel very retro. I mean, I think it fits with what they're trying to go for. Obviously, it doesn't appeal to people who want tons of articulation from their figures, but I think this will probably set alight the fire in those fans who do want these guys.
This is Rob, worth showing.
You said it best, I think, when we addressed these first off with good old Tony Roberts in attendance. That these appeal to the same kind of collectors who get pops. You know, these are novelty items that happen to be GI Joe branded. So this is for a much wider and more casual retro cornucopia kind of collector or curiosity type of collector. And not strictly speaking GI Joe hardcore like you or I. But if you were in charge of marketing these figures, how better would you market them? I mean, like, what is a better option to show off these figures than to pose them on a rocky landscape a la a GI Joe catalog from back in the day? Paul, arty farty man, what's your plan of attack?
I would have at least put them in. If I'm going to put them in a diorama, I would have put it in a diorama that's got like hard edges for starters. So like more like a base interior or something like that, or kind of done it up like a toy shelf. You know, like a toy shelf inside the base kind of vibe, because then at least the organic shapes of the figures would contrast with the harder lines of the backdrop. I feel like that would probably get a lot more win from there. And I also think it would go with the design of the less articulation type of vibe. I think it might even inspire collectors to do that to their shelves where they would keep a toy like this. That would be my approach. I
think you bang on the money, man. I'd take your thought a little bit further and say maybe even like get a very painterly style design like a Sunbow animation backdrop. So for the Joes, it would be the interior of the kind of like nerve center of the GI Joe HQ, you know, where Breaker or Sparks typically sits at the table. Like have that as the backdrop for like the top row, and then the bottom row have like a Cobra throne room, you know, with big braziers, flames, snake banners, stuff like that. But in that very classic 1980s cartoon background style.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
would be the way
Yeah.
to
yeah.
go.
I was going to say, I think if you can kind of tie it more closely to the animated series, you'd probably win a
And
lot more.
definitely do not attempt a faux pose. I mean, having Cobra Commander raise his
Take that,
stiff
bird.
arm to the sky only, as you say, highlights the limitations of these figures. Like, have them all arms at attention, basically, or arms at their sides. Like, don't attempt to vary their posture somehow, because it just doesn't work. These guys look good in one pose and one pose only. The fact that they have
Yeah, on the
articulation at all
card.
is just like. Anyway, I feel
I'm
we've
gonna
labored the
reach in.
point enough. Yeah, go ahead,
I
man.
want to reach into the comments with this gem from Gaz that's displayed. It's Quinn looks like an angry Christmas elf, or is it just me? No, it's not just you, guys. He does look like an angry Christmas elf. He definitely looks like the guy who didn't get his BMX this Christmas and had to dress up as Santa.
Though to his
ACD,
credit and to Super Seven's credit, at least this time he finally has an accurate weapon. I mean, how often has he been shunted off with Roadblock's Mardus? And that's actually incorrect. Like, when Roadblock came along with the Mardus, it was a step up from the already enormous weapon that Quinn wielded. So there was a little bit of a dramatic kind of ramping up there. But yeah, Quinn's weapon is distinct. It is the 30 cal air cooled.
I'm also going to bring us to Darren Cobb's comment of look at CC, look at my mighty Cobra hairdryer.
Though, once again, the weapon is accurate to the cartoon
beautiful.
series and not to his hairdryer Venom Blaster. Like, that's what's such a tease with the Super 7 stuff, is the adherence that they have had to the designs, to the accessories, give us a glimpse of what we could have gotten if Hasbro got their shit together and made the retro collection what we expected them to make it. Instead of just
And
giving us more modern era stuff, they could have done this. They could have done cartoon, accurate, like perfect. There could be O-ring or there could be a no-ring style that apes the O-ring style. But like, do this. Do what Super 7 is doing. But give it all the articulation that a GI Joe should have.
exactly.
It pisses
But
me off that the license holders give us this, and the third-party creators who can't touch actual GI Joe characters give us superior product, but we'll never get a Snake Eyes or a Cobra Commander or a Scarlet or a Baroness. Like, as good as that product gets, and I have every faith that the third-party guys will do amazing work, it will be original characters, and that's kind of where a GI Joe fan kind of falls down. He's like, I don't really want to invest in this stuff because who is that guy and who is that guy? Like, I can maybe create my own custom characters, but I don't want to. I want my perfect little shelf of new retro GI Joes. Damn it. That's me, at
Bart,
least.
Bart says the guns look okay, but $18 for a crap figure just to get the gun is a bit much. If these were $5, I'd get them. Yeah, but I gotta say the price point is also very prohibitive for me. Any sort of curiosity I had about these figures was blown out of the water with the price tag. I mean, $18. I'd rather make an effort to get some classified Joes, if that's the case, or a Transformers figure or something. I don't know. I feel $18 is a bit much for these, and I have always felt that way.
I see your point, and I'll raise you this. You being a customizer would go out of your way to get a hold of that Baroness head or that Destro head. Like, that might actually be worth $18 to you, man. Because you will gut that head and chuck away the rest of the figure. But yeah, for a head alone, I think it's going to be an itch. And I've now... I've planted the seed, man. Maybe you're going to be fighting yourself for the next couple of months while you're deployed. Like, do I scratch it? Do I scratch it?
Also, there is some chatter in the comments about the Ultimates wave.
Okay.
And they about them being $55 and that kind of thing. I can say, guys, as somebody who's bought some of the Super 7 Ultimates, namely the Ninja Turtles, and I do have 2 humanoid figures from that line, they are very cool. Like, I really, really like them. I think you're going to definitely feel that your $55 was well spent. But that's, of course, if you like the articulation and the aesthetic of the actual toys themselves. I think if the aesthetic is lost on you, there's nothing that Super 7 is going to do to make you like those toys. So, guys, at least there's that. But anyway. Oh, and then there is one last comment I wanted to reach into, and it is from MCDJ ACDC. And he says, look good for the painting apps, but they are overgrown Playmobil toys. Yeah. I agree with that too. And that is
Or
further
Fisher Price Adventure People.
Yeah.
Except
it's just
Adventure People had a bit more motion sculpted to them.
Mm.
Oh, and they had ball jointed heads, which gives them a little bit more character. These guys, I don't think, have that much.
Oh well.
But yeah, Playmobil toys. Yeah, I buy that.
So
Go well with those of us who like to integrate Playmobil into our GI Joe collections. These will be the perfect crew.
So now that we're looking at new toys, have any of you guys got any new toys? Like this week, anything cool? Any new shit? Funko Pops, maybe?
Well, there's a funny story to that.
Uh-oh.
No, look, I've got something new staring me in the face in the room that I'm sitting in.
Oof.
Because
I'll make eye contact.
Okay, Australia celebrates Father's Day a little bit later than the rest of the world. I think it's the 1st of September, which doesn't always fall on a Sunday. So here I sit. It's Sunday, the Sunday before Father's Day, waiting, because this is a Father's Day gift to myself, I suppose. I use any excuse these days to get myself something. But I can't open it yet. I can't bring myself to open it yet. I'm a rule-abiding gift recipient. So
I wonder
no,
what it
I
could
guess
be.
I'll wait for the midweek Father's Day. Thanks, Australia. Oh, and also, did you know that in Australia, like mixed sweets, like gums, jelly babies, jelly beans, sour worms, if you have a jar of sweets, they're called lollies. They're all called lollies. So then I asked, then what is a hard candy that's on a stick? Oh, that's a lollipop. It's like, what? Anyways, now you know, guys. In Australia, a lolly could be a milk bottle.
Australia is weird.
Yeah, well, we love it here, don't we? We do.
It's amazing, I'm sure.
It's an education. It's something new every day. But
hey, listen, at least they're not calling traffic lights robots like we do. So
yeah, we've got that one all to ourselves. Rob, have you got anything new, my brother?
No, not yet. I'm still waiting to get paid before I buy anything new.
Ooh, then what do you have in your crosshairs?
Well, I think I will finally get the Funko Pop of Jack from The Shining. I've been putting it off for ages, and I think it's gathering a little bit too much dust at work. It should gather dust at home with me.
Do it, dude. Do it. That sounds like a great toy for not being a toy. But whatever.
What did you get, Paul? Come on. There's got to be something, some Motu related stuff that you got this
I
week.
actually didn't buy anything Motu related.
Because you own it all now.
No, I don't. I must be honest. I am really doing a lot of mental gymnastics about a Castle Grayskull. It's a combination of factors. Firstly, there's guys in South Africa who are trying to sell them for like between $3,000 and $4,000. There's a part of me that's hoping that they actually come to retail here. And then there is the price of them on Big Bad Toy Store. And then there's the logistics of getting them here. So I am really wrestling with that. So yeah, hopefully I find the light at the end of the tunnel for that thing. But what I actually did get, and it broke me, not in a bad way. I mean, I wasn't going to get this. I was like, no, I'm only going to buy one of these. And then this thing's been mulling over in my brain. And I bought the Studio Series 86 Jazz from Transformers. I actually did it this morning when I was out shopping. And wow, it's a really cool little toy. Like, that series line is just a gift that keeps on giving. And I know I say that a lot, but when the toys are cool, when the toys are this cool, you can say that. Thankfully, I will stop because I have absolutely no interest in getting a Cup. I already have an amazing Blur in the form of the Titans Return series. And I've also got a really great Scourge. Even though the Studio Series Scourge is a little bit bigger and I suppose it's more scale accurate, I can live without another Scourge in my life. So, yeah.
This is the same thing like me and Steven experienced when we were younger. Like Joburg seemed to get all the really good stuff in their toy stores, and then we got nothing. Like I've looked at our local Toys R Us, and there is none of this amazing Transformers things there. It's just random rubbish.
Dude, the only thing I can actually say to that right now is I think that there is a stronger buyer market in Cape Town because I think a lot of Joburg collectors have moved down to Cape Town in the last year and a half. And I also think that guys are more willing to pinch those because when I went to go and pick up the Jazz, I mean, I was, oh my word, like I hope he's still there. I hope he hasn't been sold. And all three of the hot rods, minus one, that were there when I bought my hot rod, and the two Jazzes that were actually on the shelf were still there. So, yeah. And then also, to be fair, the Toys R Us at Cresta, which is, a very popular mall, they didn't have any of this wave. So maybe this wave has sort of been sort of sparsely distributed, Maybe there's a problem.
So now I got to fight these darn Joburgers who've moved down here for new toys.
For new toys, right? I mean... Yeah, I mean, as it is, dude, it's bad enough with Motu stuff. I mean, guys, like, I've just seen there's been a restock of the most recent wave, so there's Mermans and Evil-Lins and whatever's back on the shelf. And they've now found their way in Checkers. How cool is that? How cool is it that there's, like, Motu figures in a Checkers again? For our listeners...
That takes me back.
Yeah, Checkers is kind of like, let's compare it to Walmart, to be fair, or Target or whatever. It's more like Walmart, I would say. Just to have toys like that in the toy aisles of a regular sort of grocery store or grocery department store, whatever's, that's just really great because usually you have to go to like toy stores and whatever to pick up that stuff. So it's cool to see that. But yeah, the Motu fans in this country are crazy, hey? I mean, there's a guy in Bloemfontein who I get a lot of my Ultimate stuff from because he's actually a really cool guy and I like supporting like, a brick and mortar store. So I buy stuff from them online. And they get Motu figures. And he recently got Tila and Roboto. And I was like, okay, well, thankfully I have them. So I posted them on a local Masters of the Universe group. And they're 499 Rand, which is pretty much twice the price of what you're buying them for in store. But you're not going to get those figures in the store because those waves are from the earlier waves that were only sent to Walmart initially. So, and also to our American and international listeners, you guys know that it's difficult to get Tila and Roboto and Beastman and Trapjaw and all that because they just are difficult to get at the moment. So I post this thing on the group. I'm like, hey guys, listen, these dudes in Bloemfontein, they've got this figure. It's $4.99. And the response is like, oh, that's like twice the price of the figure. Oh, and then you have to add shipping to it. I'm like, oh, fuck off. Like, there it is. If you really want it, get it. Otherwise, your alternative is to order it from Amazon, and then you're going to pay the same price as the figure to ship it here anyway. So stop being a knob. Like, what the fuck? Can't people just be, like, grateful sometimes? Like, anyway. It's funny you bring up Funko Pops, Rob. I saw the first Funko Pop that I might have actually ever considered buying yesterday. And
Incredible.
It comes with... Yeah, so one of our GI Joburg members on the Facebook group and somebody that we had the pleasure of running into at Kokomo Toys, Rob Walsh. I hope you're listening, dude. Happy birthday, bud. It was his birthday the other day. And
Happy birthday, Rob.
And
birthday, Rob.
And he got a Funko Pop Battle Android Trooper. And I have to say, that thing is sexy, dude. That is one very sexy little Funko Pop that actually made me go, I might want one. But I was like, no. Yeah.
I think it's when they do something unique and different is when it's interesting.
Yes,
and it's
right.
like it kind of tempts one. When they kind of just all the average human kind of one where they're just standing there, it's applied a couple of different sculpting things to it to make it slightly different from the other ones. That's not interesting.
Beady little eyes.
Yeah, they've been little eyes and they're staring at you.
With their little cute faces.
Oh, they're so cute.
Don't make,
all right,
don't
that's
make me
enough
target
pop
practice.
talk.
Anyway.
Hey, Fellas, what are you reading? What are you watching? What are you playing?
Doo-doo-doo-doo. Well, I started a game. Did I say this last week? I don't remember. I think I only started this week, called The Witness.
Oh, cool.
It's a puzzle game. I'm horrendous at puzzle games, but I'm bashing my head against the desk and slowly make my way through it. It's a very cool game. It's set on an island. You don't know why you're there, but there are these kind of like puzzles you got to solve and figure out. And as you go along, I think you kind of discover more of like the island and what's going on there. But I really have realized I'm horrendous at like puzzling out things. Like my brain just doesn't wrap itself very easily around puzzles and solving those. It's kind of like back in the day, I think I tried playing Myst from the early 2000s.
I love that game.
That I think I just loved running around and not actually solving anything. So I don't think
Myst
I
is
got anywhere in
fantastic.
that game at all. Otherwise, I've started watching a series called Love, Death, and Robots. Finally,
Ooh,
after
cool, eh?
many people have recommended this to me, like over however many years
Oh,
now.
it's about time, Rob.
It's really fantastic, and I love that. Like, it showcases so many different like animation styles and story types, I suppose. And there's humor. There's like full on hard sci-fi. Probably one of my favorite ones so far was I think these guys were delivering something, and then their ship gets knocked out of the hyperspace lane, and they end up somewhere. Like that just felt like proper hard sci-fi. Had really cool like design elements to the ships and to everything else in that episode. And another standout one is where a woman witnesses a man killing someone, and then she's being chased by this man, and then like how the entire episode kind of like comes back to the start somehow at the end. That was also a really fantastic episode.
Nice,
For
dude.
me, when I watched it, the high watermark was the first episode, and then it was a case of diminishing returns. I was like,
Hold on.
eh,
Slow down there.
okay, all right.
Netflix. No. Netflix actually purposefully shuffles the episode order per region for Love, Death, and Robots. Eh?
Oh,
Which first
interesting.
episode are you referring
so
to?
what did you watch?
Yeah.
The episode where you've got these beasts that battle, and you kind of connect to them via like a
that
neural
wasn't
net.
my first episode.
What?
Wow. Yep.
Yeah,
Thanks,
my
Paul. That's
first
a
one
real
was a
eye-opener.
really funny one with these three robots kind of exploring humanity.
Oh, I love that.
The
That was
remains
so
of
cute.
humanity after they were dead. They're like, oh, what does this thing do?
I love
What does
that.
this
The
thing
cats,
do?
the cats
And
have
the
inherited the earth.
Yes.
Yeah, because of the videos, they're like, I love that.
But they can be very hit and miss, I think. It just
Oh,
depends,
definitely.
I think, on your own mood and what you're interested in. But I mean, I think there really are ones that kind of will connect to almost anyone. So you kind of just, you keep watching. There's also a really cool one set on a planet with these people, farmers, and like there's these
I was just about to
breaches.
say, I love that.
I thought that was a really fun
so
one too.
sick. So sick. That was very cool.
Clearly, I should give it another whirl. I think it's
Yeah,
like 5
come on,
episodes deep, and I mean they're very brief, aren't they? Like 5 minutes each.
Yeah, they're
Well,
all,
The lengths vary.
they
I think
vary,
between 5
yeah.
and I
Okay.
think the longest one I watched was 17 minutes long.
there's also
So you
that.
knock them out quickly. You just sit on the loo, you watch one, or you're making breakfast, you watch one.
From an animation perspective, and from a sort of, let's call it industry, slave perspective, some of those are incredibly well done from a technical point of view. Like there's one in there, and I don't want to get into it too much, but it uses a lot of realistic faces and a lot of what you would think is mocap. And actually, those guys purposefully didn't mocap. They actually animated all of the facial features and all of the movements and stuff manually. And so that in itself, that's super impressive. That's flexing big time. That's like, wow, we watch human beings a lot. So they didn't rotoscope or anything. And that is super, super, super impressive. That's like, yeah, look how big my dick is, kind of thing. But thankfully it has a
Look
cool
how
story
little
with
I'm
it.
using it, because all I do is sit in front of a computer every day, all day. Oh my
Exactly.
goodness.
Yeah. No, anyway, yeah, it needs a Kickstarter to be unlocked. It's a stretch goal. Anyway,
Paul, are you reading, watching, playing anything interesting?
I just recently finished Orange is the New Black, which was great for me. It's been a series that I've actually been watching for a long time. And
Really? Here I'm thinking
yeah.
like this is another case of Celia in action.
No. This is actually, I've been watching it since before Celia, actually. No,
Oh,
I love
okay.
Orange is the New Black. I thought it was very well written. It's I enjoy the perspective of it. Getting that perspective not only from like the prison side of things, but also enjoyed the characters, and like, and you get that woman's perspective on certain things. It's been very, I don't know, I just really enjoyed it, and I felt that it hits the right notes, and it ended well for me at least, and it does hit you in the feels a bit. But yeah, I got hooked onto it. I watched the first season like a long time ago, and I was like, damn, I understand why people enjoyed the show. So I recently finished that. That was great. I haven't really had a chance to get into anything new. I've actually just been balls to the wall busy with running the animation series and doing stuff for our number one telecommunications service provider in South Africa.
GI Joburg.
We've been working on the next campaign. That's all I can say. I can't say more than that because NDAs and stuff. But anyway, I've just been really, really busy, and it's come with its own set of challenges. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that clearing up on the 1st and the 3rd of September respectively. And then hopefully I can get back into playing Prey, which I've been really, really enjoying. Guys, if you haven't played a game called Prey before, I'm not talking about the first release of Prey that came out on the Xbox, which was fantastic in its own right. I'm talking about the sort of pseudo-sequel made by Arcane Studios, the same guys who brought us games like Dishonored. It is essentially Bioshock, and if you're old enough to remember this and you played this game, it's kind of like a modern version of System Shock, and it's just fantastic. Absolutely awesome game, mind-bending story, fantastic gameplay. I can't say fantastic enough for this, so I'm going to say it a lot. And it's only like $200 on Steam and on the PlayStation Store. I don't know what it is going for on the Xbox Store right now, but it's $200, well spent. I think that works out to what, $15, maybe less. But you won't be disappointed. There's about 30 hours worth of gameplay there, and if you're a busy person like myself, you can play it piecemeal. You can do a little bit, for an hour or something, and then you can stop and you can do whatever you need to do and come back and play it, because it is just structured very well. Anyway, I want to give this game praise because it is a gem of a game. It is majorly overlooked. It is critically acclaimed. I feel like it sadly came out just a little bit too soon for everybody to fully grasp it. But here I am playing it almost 3 years after its release, 3 years after I actually bought it, and I am loving it so much. So anyway, guys, check that out. Sorry for the sales pitch, but when a game is that good, I want that studio to get the love. So anyway, that's me. That's what I'm playing.
Paul, I'm going to call you out on something that you recommended to the listeners last week, which is
What is
like
that?
when you got talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion, and you said
beautiful.
like, if you haven't ever watched Neon Genesis Evangelion, you need to watch this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and the next thing, and the other thing. And basically, it seemed like, as a sort of introductory taste, they had to watch the entire saga and every single iteration. So,
Yeah,
given it
that's
some
because,
hindsight, can you pare that down a bit? Like, what is the essential thing? If someone needs
okay,
to be
watch the
like,
original series. Okay, so
okay,
you
thank
have to watch the original series that was released in 1995. Then you have to be confused
No.
as crap. No, but
one
you
thing.
do.
One thing.
No, but that's the problem. Evangelion is not like
You
that.
must be confused.
It's not like that. It's not a simple thing like that. It's like when you watch the original series that came out in 95, it ends. You will be left confused. Then you have to watch the end of Evangelion, which is the movie, which came out to try and finish it. And then a few years later, they did the rebuild of Evangelion. And then it's just those 4 movies that you have to watch, and then it completes the whole thing. So essentially, it's one whole thing. It's like one whole saga. It would be like me telling you, if you watch Rebuild of Evangelion, it would be like me telling you to watch Star Trek Voyager or Deep Space Nine without having watched TNG. It's still really great, but you'll miss the nuances, so...
Aye,
think
aye. Well, for my
yeah.
part, I watched the third episode of What If ellipsis, and things took a turn for the dark, and I'm finally kind of on board because, yeah, you kind of want to see where
Interesting.
things go with Marvel if plot contrivances and incredible Hail Mary moments had not happened and things went down shit street. Yeah,
So
and episode 3 seeks to do that. Yes?
the first episode was what if what's her name, Carter was
Peggy
Captain
Carter,
America.
correct? Or Captain,
Sec-
if she got the super soldier serum, because she doesn't become Captain America, she becomes a riff on Captain Britain, because, diehard comic book fans will know that Captain Britain was something else altogether.
yeah, completely different. He's kind of like
But
magic based.
yeah, so
Kinda.
she was Peggy Carter, agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., but with the shield, and the shield had a Union Jack on it. That's the twist.
Hey, that's fancy.
And they do something interesting with Steve anyway. So Steve doesn't kind of bow out now that he's no longer ripped and big.
Well, he wouldn't, because that's what makes Steve Rogers so great. That's why he's Captain America.
It's his will. It's his willpower. And then episode 2
Howard
was
Stark does play his hand as well. So
okay. He helps out.
Mm-hmm.
And then episode 2 was what if T'Challa was abducted instead of Stephen Quill?
Peter Quill. I will
Peter
confirm
Quill.
that simply because you haven't seen it, Rob. So this can't be spoilers, right? Right?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's the premise of the episode. I mean, I think you can set up the premise of an episode. Okay, so the third one is if things get really dark.
Yeah, and it kind of occupies a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that appeals to me more, because First Avenger was a passable origins film, but like certainly not the high watermark of Captain America's story. And I'm sorry, all you fans of Guardians of the Galaxy, but that stuff, for all its fun and all its whimsy, never really excited me. I guess when things get intergalactic, I get a little bored. Yeah, I do tune out. Yeah. So episode 3 plays in the sandbox that I enjoy the most, and yeah, it did deliver some gut punches and some interesting twists. Hey, fun. But
I gotta get the series.
Do it, brother. Let's shift the focus back to Joe. It's been quite a prolific week of releases for our various avenues. Over on YouTube, we published this.
Ooh, is that a video about Snake Eyes?
It was a Snake Eyes review, as promised. We delivered at long last. We did Snake Eyes Swivel Arm 1983 version. I just talked up my initial reception of this look. The fact that like V1 Snake Eyes just didn't exist until I saw him for the first time in the pages of the comic book. And I honestly thought to myself, well, this is a very like watered down look for Snake Eyes. Where are his big knives? Where's the visor? Did he lose all his equipment in the issues prior? But it very quickly becomes a serious love letter to how less is more, and the simplicity of this figure is really like it's something that other Snake Eyes have embellished upon, but all those embellishments are actually, in the final analysis, unnecessary. Like V1 is perfection. He's all in black because why would he have any other color on his uniform? If he does his best work after dark and alone, yeah, man. Why would his straps or pockets or visor or goggles be in any other color? I know it's a cost-cutting method, but it shouldn't be any other way, And this mold has seen use again over time, and they have kind of painted in the details, and I'm like, no, it's wrong. Those versions crossed my path, and I was like, should I buy them? No, I'll rather just save up and get the original and best, because you can't beat an original, can you? You can buy over 60 or 70 versions of Snake Eyes, but there is only one version that was his debut.
There can only be one Shadow. Yeah, I hear you, dude. In fact, This review actually inspired something. When I went back to my folks' place, I grabbed a few.
Click buy.
No, not yet. I would like to, but no, not yet. When I went to my folks' house, I grabbed a few sideshow Joes to bring to the house to Bravo, and I was gonna bring Snake Eyes with me, and then I realized actually I think the Snake Eyes needs to be in his commando deco. And that's why I left him at my folks' place, because I want to, when I go back and get him, I'm going to go and grab his little baggie with all of his accessories and then do him up commando style. Because this review actually inspired me to do that. So you got me to change at least one of my Snake Eyes figures to commando version. So that's good. But yeah, it was
Getting
cool
a little closer.
I love that we got the
original.
voice for Snake Eyes like down. Like, perfectly.
Speaking of voice, thanks for lending yours, gentlemen. It wouldn't be the same
Hell
without
yeah.
it.
Oh, it's
That
pleasure,
was it
man.
was a fun experience and it's a good video. I definitely like this figure a lot more than I used to. But I still prefer version 2. Sorry. Oopsie. Version 3. There's too many versions.
Yeah, it's like, is it 2? Because technically it's 2, because the one that that Steven reviewed on the channel is actually 1.5 technically.
1.5.
1.5.
It's confusing. I
Right?
don't know.
Aye, aye. And then after our Snake Eyes review, Boomtown, Cujo has been accumulating incredible interview clips with various GI Joe adjacents, voice cast members, writers, actors, and most notably, the big one, Flint Dilley, writer on the Sunbow series and subsequent writer on many properties of interest. But Cujo was asking some very pointed questions, particularly about the episode of the cartoon that really struck a chord at old Cuj. I think you know what I'm talking about. It's What Lies Beneath. Oh, no, Skeletons in the Closet? Skeletons in the Closet. That's
Closet,
it.
yeah.
That's right. Where Lady J has become an heir to a castle in Scotland. I think it's Scotland. Anyways, it turns out
Yes,
she's
yeah.
related to Destro, and there's this annual clan meeting of some kind, the seance, or I don't know, very Lovecraftian. Of course, it rings all of Cujo's bells. But yeah, he had some interesting questions for Mr. Dilley, and you do well to listen to that podcast, available on pod players everywhere, and even on the YouTube. So it's live at the moment. Go check it out.
Cool.
Well, I'm looking forward to listening to it. That was a cool episode. I mean, it's a weird episode because obviously they're trying to do their own like continuity and stuff in the cartoon, which is nice. I mean, it's wild. They're kind of doing their own thing. Yeah, I'm interested. I'm gonna go.
I'm
listen to it.
personally a fan of Lady J and Destro being related somehow. I think that's really cool, actually.
Yeah, I mean they're close enough. Irish, Ireland, and Scotland. I mean they're pretty close together. She could be related.
Well, the Irish and the Scottish would definitely disagree with you, heartily so. But
they're both
yeah,
islands. Come on.
I do dig that kind of. I like that dynamic. I thought it was really interesting. I also love that a lot of the Sunbow shows, and I can't speak of all of them, but there's 2, and they both have a G in their title. GI Joe and Ghostbusters both feature a Cthulhu-esque episode, or should I say Tulu-esque episode, which is great. So not just 1, but 2 from 2 different shows and 2 different writers, which is great. I wonder which inspired which. But anyway, there's actually a great horror movie, and I've spoken about it before. It's that Necronomicon movie, the anthology thing. And it has a plot that is very similar to that episode of G.I. Joe. Anyway, go and check it out, Necronomicon, if you guys want to see what I'm talking about. I wouldn't be
And
surprised.
check out Cujo's latest File Cards final mixtape. He went all out. The production value is pretty high. He's,
I like that
enlisted
thumbnail. So.
He's also enlisted some synthwave artists to add to the soundscape. So it's a very nicely put together, I think 40 or so minutes of audio. Then, I mean, the goodness just keeps coming, guys. Come on. It's like we were on easy street for most of August, and now we're running downhill. The Peak Clan. Glenn and his boys posted a video called The Coils of Cobra Part 3. The subtitle is Assault on Cobra Castle because, man, the action is thick and fast in their latest PlayMotion adventure. As of recording, for me at least, the premiere was this morning, and lovely little turnouts. Thank you very much, everyone who was there, for supporting the Peak Clan. Yeah, I mean, just to put everyone in perspective, if you're about to check out this video, the boys have taken the wheel. They're 4 boys, and they shoot it, edit it, stage it, manipulate the action figures. They are the voice cast. It's pretty impressive stuff. I think the eldest son is in fact the cameraman on his school news team. Very, very cool. So yeah, they are upping their PlayMotion game, guys. You do very well to check it out.
Yeah,
You might be
very cool
pleasantly
stuff
surprised
happening.
at how professional. Yeah, exactly. Paul, you caught it, didn't you? What do you think,
Yes,
man?
yeah. I thought it was very impressive. Like, I enjoyed the sort of storyline, the ATB point, getting us from ATB. But I want to talk about some of the things that I really, really loved. So something that that I've seen with these guys is their work has definitely grown. So every video they've done has been better than the last. It's been more interesting from whether it be camera or action or whatever. And they put a lot of their skills together on this. And some of the stuff that, like, firstly, I don't want to spoil too much, but Zaymot and Tomax make an appearance. And when they have their dialogue, they do a bit of a focus pull. But it's not really a focus pull, but it's, they focus on, and I keep getting these two confused, but it's Zaymot in the foreground when he's speaking, and then when Tomax starts speaking, they blur the foreground and then they focus on Tomax. And I love that. That's like very clever, because you can't animate these figures all the time. You can't always get your hands in there because sometimes your hands end up being the character. And it's a really, really great way to shift that dialogue. And it definitely tells you which one of the two is speaking. That was very, very clever, very well done. There also some kudos to sending a moray down a stream. Wow, well done.
At high speed. I mean,
Yo.
I wonder how many takes it took to get that moray to not snag, because it wasn't the deepest of streams. And it was rocky bottom, so it was like, wow, man, surely it snagged the rocks. But no, this thing shoots down that waterway, which is amazing.
It's so impressive. And
Never
and
seen
terrifying.
again.
Yeah.
Well, here's a point I wanted to pull from that, is that, like, it's so lovely seeing play motions done by kids, because when I'm doing this thing, I know it might seem like I'm being reckless with my toys, but I'm really not. The setups are so safe. There's always something soft out of shot that, if the figures were to fall, they wouldn't smash on concrete or something like that, or rocks for that matter. Like, if I am sort of shifting them around, they're not walking on anything that will rub the paint or scratch the undersoles of the feet. They're always on like soft grass or soft soil, or better yet, in the water. But with the Peak Clan, they play, and they play hard, and it is so amazing. Yes, these are 30-year-old toys, but they're still toys. And if you can stand to not be precious about them, it's a breath of fresh air. So yeah, by all means, make that moray sail down that waterway at top speed. Awesome.
Oh, dude. And then there was another great moment that I thought was, this has to be noted. The voice work on this is fantastic. Great job, Peak Clan. That Cobra Commander, it hits me like hard. I love it. It is so well done. It is so well performed. And I love the dialogue, like that Cobra Commander has, that one line of, contrast. I was like, yes, that's perfect. And Yeah, I dig it, and just like the framing of some of the shots, especially those interiors with all of the diorama, and that's another thing. The diorama stuff is so great, and I call it diorama stuff, but it's not really fair to call it diorama. The inside of the base is amazing. The Cobra Castle is amazing. These things, they were sold to me. I loved it. I thought that was so well executed, and yeah, great work, dude.
Basically, if you're looking for some playtime inspiration, look no further than the Coils of Cobra Part 3, Assault on Cobra Castle.
What makes me really excited, I mean, okay, we're probably going to wait another 20 years or so, but we might actually finally get a proper GI Joe movie if these guys are behind the scenes on that thing.
Yeah, there you go.
So in our 50s and 60s, guys, GI Joe, the movie, finally.
Oh yeah,
And like,
you're 20 years away from your 50s, are you, Rob?
Oh, wait, oh shit, no, it's this. Oh, thanks for reminding me. 12 years. All right, actually, now we'll be okay, 12 years.
there's just a lot of direction. There's a lot of intention in those shots, and I love that. So, yeah, it just spoke to me. It hit me hard. Thank you guys. Anyway, enough Paul. Steven wants to say stuff too.
Well, this last item is not on our channel, but we had a hand in at least some of the voices. His name's Datalinks Magnus, and the video's name is Operation Arrowhead. This is a stop motion, wait for it, all you 6-inch fans, featuring the classified series GI Joe toys. So everyone who's been champing at the bit to see the new product featured in play motion or stop motion, as it is in this case, well, with a few elements of play motion, look no further. And can I just say, it's excellent. I know I probably gush far too often and it has probably lost all value by now, but suspend your disbelief, friends. Drift ever so slightly off the GI Joburg channel and check out Datalink's Magnus' channel. Link will be in the description below. And check out his stop motion because it's top class. And what really sets it apart for me is that it's not pure stop motion. He has integration of live footage. He has excellent graphics, like stuff that I could only dream about. Like if you are seeing a POV shot through Snake Eyes' optics, because, yeah, surely that visor has some kind of readout inside it. You see the details, and that stuff is painstaking amount of like technical greebly to set. The attention to detail is off the chain. But the high point for me has got to be, would I give it away? Yeah, a little bit. Anyways, it's too delicious to not talk about. Sergeant Slaughter makes an appearance, and his scene is the classic quintessential dressing down of the new recruits, and it is played to perfection. You might recognize the voice. It's not me, but he has been on GI Joburg before. And the script work at that point is like, it's pure comedy. It's so good. So good. I'm not going to spoil any of the gags, but if you don't see anything else of this video, I mean, the last 5 minutes will just... I mean, it's proper laugh out loud stuff. Like every delivery, I'm like, yes, priceless. That is exactly how Sarge would like belittle and deride Lady J and Leatherneck and
Quick
Shockwave
Kick.
and Beachhead and Quick Kick. Yeah, it's beautiful. You guys got anything to add on Datalinks' video?
I agree with everything you just said. The use of of like live footage, the transition graphics, it just integrates a lot of media into one video, and also like the use of like special effects near the end. I think because there's like a whole like fight scene. I think it's really cool, and I hope he keeps making more because this feels like the beginning of something. It's sort of like an origin story in a way. And yeah, I look forward to seeing a lot more stuff from Datalinks.
I had to do a few double takes because there were toys there that at first I was like, wait, hold on. Oh yeah, that's a custom. So I'm looking at Quick Kick for starters. Very cool, and I know how it's made, but that doesn't take anything away from how well it shines on screen. There were a few moments there where I was like, "Wow, that's actually a really good head sculpt choice for that character and for this and for that." And the voice work is cool. It's so cool that a lot of guys really brought their A game to it. There's some real performances there. And the stop motion, I always feel like when stop motion is good, you don't really talk about the stop motion, and that's all I'm gonna say. Like, I feel that I just believe the characters. I enjoyed a lot of the movement, and enjoyed a lot of the expression, and I felt that a lot of the acting and the performances came through in the characters really well. So, and that's me being quite specific. But when I was watching it, and when I have been going through it, I had to actually, scrub a few times just to scrub the video a few times just to like see how it was done. Because at first I was like da 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 da, and I was like, wait, this is stop motion. So very nicely done, Data Links. Like, very cool. And of course, all your post production work, your effects, and all the After Effects stuff that you did is fantastic.
All right,
Okay.
I think that's it for the rather epic list of things that GI Joburg fans can check out this week. Well, releases from this past week. Paul, did you have something you wanted to add into the pot for this evening's podcast?
I did. It's a bit of an odd one. I wanted to ask you guys, and to our live audience, and to those of you who are watching the video, and so feel free to comment below. What are the things you won't do for action figures? What is your line? Where do you draw a line for yourself when it comes to buying toys, or should I say, not buying toys? What is the thing that you will not do?
I would do anything for toys. I won't do that.
Do that exactly.
That's the jingle, boys. Gosh. Oh, man. Well, nowadays I'm finding things locally. So I've kind of drawn a line in the sand from paying international shipping, which is quite a luxury. But fortunately, there are a handful of Joe dealers in Oz who are doing the importing for us. So that cuts out the hefty wallop of shipping cost. So that's one. Rob, what wouldn't you do, dude? Throw one into the pot.
I probably wouldn't murder someone for their toys. I think that probably goes without saying. But
Oh yes, it goes without saying. Carry on.
I definitely wouldn't commit a crime to acquire a beloved toy that I think I need to add to my collection. I definitely wouldn't.
No, that's very noble of you. That's
Wow. Like, I thought I was stating something obvious here, but you're making it sound like, okay, not there are limits that some people don't see.
And then and that's like, okay, so that's like the extreme stuff, the extreme stuff. I was thinking, okay, so let's bring it back down a bit. I mean, Stephen, yours was quite down to earth, actually.
But also not a hard line. I'm looking at right now, in fact, quite a decent deal on the Action Force Havoc, because it ticks two boxes. It's the superior deco, in my opinion, because the Havoc was always shown, be it UK media or US media, be it comic book or cartoon, always shown with red accents. Why the US release has orange accents, I'll never know. So I'm looking at the Action Force version. I'm thinking, well, if I get that, I can move my Joe one, very kindly shipped to me by Mr. Creech, who's in the chats, on to you, Paul. Hey,
yes.
So
I mean, that's cool.
And
that's cool.
Everybody wins. But I'm not a fan of the Havoc. Why on earth would I buy a second one? Apart from to give it to you, Paul.
It's love, man.
So I'm beating my head against the wall, like, do I, don't I? But as with most Action Force toys, you really want to find them, you'll find them in the UK. So that's where this Havoc resides. and the postage on it would basically double its cost. I do have a brother who lives in the UK. I could have it sent to him for a princely £3 sterling.
Wow.
It's hilarious.
That's a car
how
here
little
in South Africa. I'm
Oh,
joking.
no, £3. It's like $6.
I'm being
US.
ridiculous. I'm being ridiculous.
Anyways, so yeah, that's nothing. Sneezing, but I don't know. It's just gonna sit with my brother because with international travel on the kibosh, I don't know when I'll see that havoc. I don't know when I'll see you, Paul, to give you yours. So all of these things are like a ridiculous mind game that I'm playing with myself the whole time. I don't know if that really answers your question at all.
It does answer my question to a degree. What actually?
What is the question? Let's boil it down to its essence. What won't you do in the pursuit of toys? I think
Yes.
I wouldn't sell my body.
I
Yes.
think
Rob wouldn't kill anyone. I don't know.
Okay, so I will take mine. Let me.
Here's one. I won't
Yeah.
sell toys to buy toys.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
won't trade any toys for
those
other
are
toys.
good ones actually to
Because
mention.
I'm a hoarder. I can't give
Mine
away.
now.
They're all mine, the preciouses. Good ones actually, because this came from a local auction that I participated in for a very minty Sky Patrol Skyhawk, and it also came with a low light version 2 and a muskrat, which thankfully I already have. And it also came with a very minty complete radar rat, which, take it or leave it. I've got one in a box at home. And I figured, hey, well, that's a nice bonus. And then now I'll have an open radar rat. That'll be cool. So the bidding started at like 150 Rand, and sort of I just went with it. And I was like, let's see if I can get it. And while I was doing this bidding, every time, the auction had 5 minutes left on it. So I was like playing it cool. I just dropped in like $50, like whatever. It's just to like go, hey, everybody, I'm also playing. And then I just let it time out a little bit. And I got to the end and I was like, boom, dropped in 150. And then the timer on the auction extended. And I was like, what bullshit is this?
What?
Like, I should technically have had this figure at like just shy of like $300. So I was like, well, fuck this. So I sort of got into it a bit. And I was like, and it kept on being extended by 5 minutes every time myself or my competing bidder or the guy bidding against me had put in an amount. So I don't know, something about it just smelt a bit fishy as I was going through. And then I actually thought to myself, well, what is it that I won't do for this toy? And I'm like, the first thing that came to me was like, I'm not going to pay more than 650 for this Sky Patrol Skyhawk. Be damned, I don't care like how great condition it is. I'm going to bow out. And I did lose the auction, but it was literally because for some reason at that point the seller decided, oh well, okay, cool, well that's it, nobody's gonna bid this thing out. So so the dude actually ended up winning it for just shy of 700. It's a local guy, actually found out from a local source. It's a guy called Shawl who got it. So congratulations, Shawl, if you're listening to this ever. It's a good piece and you earned it. So nicely done. But then I thought about it and I was like, why wouldn't I pay more than that for a Sky Patrol Skyhawk? And I was like, oh yeah, because I have this house. I'm living in this place now. And I got to say, like, the one thing, I won't screw my living situation up. I would rather make sure all the bills and all that stuff is paid out and that I can afford food and all that. I mean, this is dirt stuff, right? But like that, my disposable income is sort of used for toys. So that was my one thing. Secondly, I won't sell toys for toys. And I was talking to another local Joe dealer, and he's just recently acquired a Zartan. If you're listening, you know who you are. And he sold 4 figures or something to be able to afford that Zartan. And I was like, I would never do that. Like, I get why he would do it, and that's great, and it makes economical sense, whatever. But I would never do that. I would never sell from my collection to get like a piece. My whole thing is I'm trying to complete my collection. I'm not trying to endanger my collection by trying to complete my collection. I suppose selling my body, is something I wouldn't do. And I'm going to say it here, folks. I won't kill anybody for toys. This is just
Cool.
for my
I'm
lawyer
glad
one
you
day.
put that on the record.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there.
I was a little worried.
But another thing as well that I won't do is I won't, and I know because I've fallen for this crap before in the past, but I won't pay more than I feel it's worth to me ever again. Like, irrespective. Like, if I see, like, let's say a Commando Snake Eyes 1.5 and I see it going for like $200 or $300, that is too much for me. And I won't pay that. And I will literally hold out until hopefully someday the powers that be will, and the toy gods will align, and they will help me find that figure, and it'll come my way. But there are certain price thresholds I just won't go over. And, that's pretty much where I'm at the moment, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I mean, yes, it's there's a funny side to it, like Rob not killing anybody for toys, but there's a kind of a semi-serious side to it. I also won't screw people over for toys. That's another thing. Like, I don't believe in that.
I will never buy mint and sealed box or mint on card with the express purpose of opening them. And that's not to say that that's a bad practice at all. I think that is a true gift that one can give to oneself. Like, it's worth it. It's worth the price of admission to be the first to unbox that item, uncard that item. You deserve it, because it's something that is you're getting less and less of, and it certainly commands a premium price to chase it. And you're getting that minty toy. Like, there is such value in doing that. So I can appreciate the notion of doing it, and I certainly am not jumping on the bandwagon of saying that is a bad practice. No, don't get me wrong. It's just not something that I would do, because I think, my highest aspiration is always to have these toys, to handle them, to play with them, to take them out of doors, put them in vehicles, have them rampage around the yard. Like, that's where I'm at. I don't want to have museum pieces in my collection. So something fresh off the card, as I've said many times before, is prohibitive to me. So I will never do that. That said, I did find a sealed tomahawk in the wild once, and maybe, just maybe, I don't know, if I was bedridden for a period of time, I would treat myself. But I don't have to, because I've got some lovely play-tested tomahawks to hand. So that one can always stand as like just a cool story. That's all it needs to be.
Yeah, Schrodinger's toy.
Yeah, exactly. You make that joke every time. It's pulverizer parts in there.
Yep.
The pulverizer was like the first, what I'd call, tank I ever got in GI Joe, and like, because I was a small in stature child, this seemed like a substantial toy to me. And then a few months after that, I got the Cobra Wolf, and then that seemed like a substantial toy to me. And then flip forward a couple of years, and I got the GI Joe Sky Raven, and that seemed like a substantial toy to me. So at every juncture in history, like, getting an upgrade and realizing, wow, this toy line has some pretty large pieces, and then gets even larger from there, like something like the USS Flag. It's been
that
such
seemed
a
like a big
piecemeal.
piece.
I know, it's been a wonderful kind of evolution, and I have my naivety and the fact that I was born in Africa to thank for this. Like, wow, there's a whole new world just waiting for your discovery. I don't know if this topic has been exhausted yet, but I think we should move on. We can certainly revisit it in the future.
Totally.
But some great comments in the live chat, about ensuring that, as you say, Paul, bills need to be paid. Investment accounts need to be maxed. That's very, very good practice, that you don't dip into your kind of your smart money for your jollies, your lollies, and travel. Matt's primary priority is, with his disposable income, is to travel, and I certainly hope travel becomes viable again and easy
totally.
again. I mean, bloody hotel quarantines and vaccine passports. Man, there's so many hoops at the moment. My brother is trying to get to South Africa. If he does his hotel quarantine on the way back to the UK, in the UK, it's like astronomical. But if he flies via Germany, he can do his quarantine period not in a hotel. He just has to be in one place. Unfortunately, his girlfriend has family there. She's German, actually. So, man, it's just so convoluted.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of stories of like people needing to like go to like third countries, essentially, like a stop off point.
Yeah.
And actually being careful of where they choose, because there's so many different rules and different expenses depending on where you're going. It's insane. People just want to get home and they can't,
Yeah.
they can't even afford to get home.
A very cool YouTuber by the name of Alana Pierce. Some of you may know her. She is a very good voice in the game sphere, in the video gaming sphere of things. She used to work for IGN, and she is Australian. And she was just documenting her journey from America to Australia to go and see her family. And I don't want to go into the details here, but check it out if you want to get like some perspective on what it's like and how hectic it is and how quickly things change. I mean, you'll get into the country in 1 week, you'll do your quarantine for a week. Then while you're doing your quarantine, the laws about it, or the rules, should I say, change. And then it completely flips everything on its head. And then you're screwed again because now you can't go and do what you needed to do. And it's madness. And anybody who's sort of risking international travel right now, and when I say risking, I mean the risk of really being irritated and the financial risk that comes with having to quarantine in a hotel for like 14 days, 10 days. It's frightening. It's in some
And if
ways,
you're in the police state of Australia, even domestic travel is going to come at a pretty penny in terms of hotel quarantines.
police state is very nice. I would have said nanny state, but that's me. No offense. Yeah.
None taken. But sometimes it's best just to stay the damn hell at home, because
I think that's what. I think
Kim and
that's
I
the hint, right?
I know,
Yeah,
I know.
they're trying to
It's a lot
encourage you,
cheaper.
keep your lollipops in their own little jars. Don't mix them up. Your
Kim and
lollies,
I had
sorry.
plans to go to Sydney to see some of her family, because Kim's just dying to show Elliot off to any family. So she's got some distant cousins in Sydney. But
Anyone, even these guys who I haven't spoken to since I was 6.
so random. Anyways, but with the Delta strain doing the rounds, New South Wales has been in and out of lockdowns, as has Victoria. Like the southeast part of the country, it just basically, we cancelled our plans the day of the flight, and good thing we did, because we probably would still be there. This was like 2 months ago now.
Wow.
But I asked for suggestions on like vintage toy shops to check out in Sydney, and the suggestions on Facebook were great. So this is a follow-up to that. The reason I haven't done a report of vintage toy hunting in and around Sydney is, well, because I haven't been. Soz. But guys, Renegade Con has happened this past weekend. In fact, as of recording, it's into its second day only. And the GI Joe RPG core rulebook has been unveiled. They put together a character sheet yesterday. There's been some great coverage courtesy of Full Force Podcast. So go support Chris McLeod's channel and check out his day-to-day recaps of what has happened at Renegade Con regarding these properties, this RPG game, and also the deck building card game. But what I'm showing on the YouTube version now, do yourself a favor, is the cover art for the rulebook by Steve Morris. And I'm going to punch in on it, because does this art style not call back the old Find Your Fate books?
Oh,
Duke's
yeah, it
Duke's
does.
punching out a Cobra Trooper. Cobra
Mm-hmm.
Commander's kind of towering in the background. Roadblocks firing off into the sky. Like it's absolutely nonsensical, but it's so good. And
Snake Eyes' swords on fire.
it's very painterly, which is kind of a hallmark of those Find Your Fate books. You know, good old R.L. Stein's hand in a few of them, but
Yeah.
beautifully done. So, yeah, credits to Steve Morris. He's evoked a very old school style, but very faithfully adhering to the designs of the classified series figures.
I gotta say, before you alerted me to this prior to the episode, I didn't even know that this entire Renegade Con thing was going on, even what Renegade Game Studios was. Um,
And you're the RPG gamer in the group.
it's
Oh,
wild,
baby.
isn't it? It's crazy.
Mm.
But I mean, since then I've been kind of like looking around, and I see them. I mean, they've got quite a few licenses that they're kind of like creating games for, and also new games
It's
for.
your favorite, Rob, from last week.
Power
Google Power
Rangers.
Rangers.
Yeah, they've got the RPG going, coming up, the card game, and I think there's also a figure-based line as well, using Power Rangers, and also I think they're going to be doing a Transformers related games too.
That sounds cool.
It looks interesting, and watching a bit of the live stream, a little bit of the description of the RPG play system, it seems pretty streamlined. And I think it should be a fairly easy system for people to pick up and kind of like roll with.
I've played an RPG game all of twice, and it was both
Yes.
with you, Rob. I love it, and I perhaps love it a little too much because I was like, "Oh, guys, can't we like just get some mood lighting going and like have a soundscape?"
Oh god, he's a lurper.
No, dude, but come on, Rob's mates just wanted to like talk shit and eat junk food. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
come on, stay in character. So
Stay
clearly
focused.
my play style mirrors my style of like playing with GI Joes. I'm like, shut up, Alistair, shut up, Rob. You're not Rob, you're not Alistair, you're Beachhead, you're Scoop. Let's stay focused here.
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
you spiky Mac Spike
I
Fang.
think you just hadn't found your proper group yet.
My clan.
looking for group, huh?
I need a tribe. But yeah, look, your mates obviously were very much in line with your more casual approach, which is like,
Yes.
shoot the breeze, but also go on an adventure through a dungeon.
Roll dice every now and then, but I mean, yeah, I think it's more of like a time to just like hang out and shoot the shit. But I can definitely get more into like not proper, but I mean like a more focused role playing play style. I think that could be a lot of fun to explore.
I'm now sharing some more art. I think this is also Steve Morris's work, also very much like a Find Your Fate painting, and it's got law and order, looking at a kind of a display with Major Blood in his kind of like his classified look. And then there's a character sketching. That character isn't clear to me, but I'm sure someone could help us out in the comments below. But seeing Law and Order gives me the impression that we could expect to see a Law and Order very shortly in the classified series.
That would be cool, seeing as they've got the sort of dog sculpt down with timber. So, I mean, I'm not saying we're going to get a wild, like timber wolf with an Alsatian head. That would be freaking weird.
Well, some of the biggest highlights of RPG rulebooks is the art. I mean, the art is what often sells you and kind of like takes you into that world. And it looks like they've definitely got some good artists, to kind of create the images that go along with the rules themselves.
Well,
and
Paul,
it seems reasonably priced too. I think $55, I believe, for the core rulebook. That doesn't sound too far off from other systems that I played, like Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons as well.
It is available for
also...
pre-order on the Renegade Studios website. $55 and no release date just yet. They do have the release date for the deck building card game. That's $45, and the release date will be October.
Did
art
I
by
hear my
Robert
name earlier?
Atkins.
Ooh.
Oh no, I was just going to say to you that Robert, you
Okay.
wanted to mention Paul. Paul, you wanted to mention that Robert Atkins' art was featured in the deck building game, and you were quite pleased about that.
Mm. No, it's cool. Like, I always dig it when cool artists get cool gigs. Um, I
Dream
have got
job?
something. Yeah, actually. When I say dream
Hmm.
job, it's like dream client. You know, like to do this kind of work for a client is great. You know. Um, yeah.
Why? What's the word
Darren.
on the street about Renegade Gaming?
Oh no, 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 nothing like that. It's just when you get to work on a cool IP, I think that was actually more accurate. Like
Okay.
you get there's so many of these different companies, and you might, for example, like get work with, say, for example, Fantasy Flight Games, who does a lot of role-playing guides and books and tabletop board games, etc. But you may not necessarily work on an IP that you enjoy. So it's cool if you get to like work for, let's say, Renegade, you get them as a client, and then you get to work on the sort of on GI Joburg or GI Joburg, brain washing. You get to work on the GI Joe IP, and that's a great thing, you know. So there's something I wanted to say about the art. Looking at Steve Morris's art now. I am not going to. This is actually not so much about his artwork, which I think is amazing, by the way. It's incredibly well done. It's got a great mix between being painterly and digital, which is awesome. But when you go back to the first image, and this is kind of, I'm going to highlight a problem I have with modern GI Joe, and I don't know if you guys will agree with me here.
Uh-oh, hot takes.
If all of these character designs painted up the way they are were, no, should I say, if all of the vintage, and I'm sorry if this sounds, bad, but if we had to take all of the vintage characters in their original designs and put into an image like this, it somehow seems like it makes more sense. I can't explain exactly what it is. I just feel like there's a sort of a more melee quality to the original designs of GI Joe. I feel like seeing all of these modern designs doing what they're doing here, and Roadblock certainly killing the last bald eagle in America with that ridiculous fucking laser gun of his.
Dude, there are rattlers doing flybys.
Yeah, well, he's not hitting them because they're still
He
there.
hasn't seen them yet.
He hasn't seen them there. I just feel like there's something quite contrived about these character designs in this kind of style. I feel like Hasbro is trying to evoke this feeling. I feel like the artist is doing the best he can because he's delivered a very skilled and technical piece of art. I just remember, when I saw this, and this is not the first time I'm seeing it. I saw it a day ago, and I just felt, wow, this just feels so not right. Like, I don't know, I can't put it more better than that. Like, I think all the other artwork you've shown, which is more slice of life, has been absolutely beautiful and actually fits in with the milieu of everything. And I almost feel like the image that's used in the red backdrop would have made a much more interesting cover for this, personally. I don't know. You mentioned it earlier when you said it kind of evokes that feeling of the old GI Joe books that were written by R.L. Stine et al. But even those have like a hokiness to them, but somehow they just work. They just work really well. And I don't know what it is about this that just puts me off. Like, this artwork by itself doesn't excite me. It's a good piece. I'm not debating the quality of it. It just doesn't excite me. It does nothing for me. The next picture that you had with Major Blood on the screen with Law and Order, that's more exciting to me. I look at that and I'm like, wow, okay, now I'm actually really interested in this book, because that's going to be all the stuff that's going to be inside the book or on cards or on the screen. When you have your DM screen up or GM screen, what is it called now? A Games Master.
Games Master, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Dungeon Master is a trademark of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, but
Look,
even
this-
D&D calls it a Games Master now, I think, hey? Because I think
Oh, really?
Dungeon Master is a trademark of S&M. Yeah, this is a great image. I love this image. It works for me, like, big time. Also, guys, I'm sorry to say, but there doesn't seem to be a classified shipwreck anytime for us soon. And I'm sure you can see why. If you can't, I'll fill you in. Look at the design language of Duke's outfit, which is his classified look. and look how there's none of that in the shipwreck design. That shipwreck design is exactly his vintage look.
I disagree. The flare on his pants is far less than bell bottom.
That could have been
He's
the
also
artist's choice.
carrying
No.
gear that would effectively swap out. Like it's accessories basically. You would be able to convert a teacup hat wearing shipwreck into a more tactical looking shipwreck, or a diver shipwreck, given the kind of stuff that he's depicted holding.
Yeah, I
But
think
there's kind of like the fabrics and the styling of his outfit feels more vintage.
there's
Oh,
disconnect
absolutely.
It
there.
feels like something from the 80s, while what Duke is wearing feels way more modern. Like the way that his outfit is actually styled, the
But we've
type
all
of
seen the
boots that he's
shift in
wearing.
classified to doing modern takes on vintage designs. Like the first wave of classified were doing their own thing because they were video game characters. Now there's a scaling back of that, and Joe is starting to look ever so more like they're doing classics.
Which
Don't get me
means
wrong,
that at some
barbecue's
point they're going to
perfect.
have to re-release those original figures to actually have them gel better with the figures later. Because I
wouldn't be
think that's
surprised.
kind of like the dissonance that Paul is picking up on here is that Duke doesn't feel like he fits in the same world as
as the
Shipwreck
other two.
currently.
Well,
Yeah.
look,
Or the other two.
they've already started. Roadblock is the perfect example of how there's been this scaling back from like, okay, we tried something new. You guys don't like it as much as the same shit we've been shilling since 1984. So there you go.
Yeah,
There
dude.
you go. Have it.
I just
Oh, and
just from
JD Onesie, shout outs to you, my friend. But they totally are featuring Valor versus Venom Ace design. Very nice.
So anyway, like I was just saying, from an art directing point of view and from being art directed, I just know that if I had submitted this piece internally with, like, let's say, my people, somebody would have picked up and gone, the guy with the yellow shirt is standing out too much. Why?
It's
Well,
not
either
because of his
that
gaudy
or you
pose.
swap out. I don't know. You kind of swap out Shipwreck. I think Shipwreck is probably the one that stands out the most as not fitting in with the rest.
I just feel like Shipwreck and I'm guessing that's Ace
Oh yeah.
are more in line with each other than Duke is with both of them. But anyway, I don't want to get into too much of that. I just wanted to just touch on it. Now that excites me.
Here's what I wanted to get to. We've got miniatures.
Is that Dawn?
That's Jinx.
Oh, is it Jinx? Okay, sorry. Just there was something about it that just seemed.
Well,
more
that's awesome
Dawn-like.
because I mean, with all the
Yeah.
other games, especially Pathfinder, they do often release miniatures so that you can actually
And they're
have
nice and
something
cheap.
physical in front of you that you play on, on mats. You can create little dioramas of spaces that you have your characters going into. That's really cool that they're doing an accompanying line of minis for the role-playing game.
So Jinx is, by my estimation, wearing like a tunic and sort of ninja tabi on her legs with knee pads. She has an unmasked head with beautiful flowing hair. She's got a long sash billowing. I don't know if it's coming off of her hairpiece or from her sword. She's got a long sword and a short dagger, and she's posed on one foot. And this tells me, I mean, this isn't a design of Jinx that we've ever seen before. So it sends me huge vibes that this is a work in progress, that we might see this design in classified. What do you fellas think?
Yeah, I'm feeling you on that. There's a
Yeah, I think
design
so
to
too.
the. She's got a visor as well. Like,
Oh,
so
does
her-
she?
Looks like.
Oh, then
looks like
she's
her
blind.
Bottom,
It feels like it, yeah.
yeah, it looks like her bottom, her nose and her mouth are exposed, and then her eyes and forehead are covered.
covered
I just
up.
want to just quickly reach into the comments here because I actually do appreciate this comment. It's from Matthew Comstock. He says, I would just use the figures. Matthew, I was thinking the exact same thing. But here's the thing. I love painting miniatures. So I'm kind of on the side of, yes, I would also just use the figures, but I kind of really love being able to paint the miniatures. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, great comment there. Because
But that's the great thing about role-playing games is you can literally do whatever you want to do.
exactly.
It's your world. You're creating it. If you want to express the way that you're playing these adventures out with the actual action figures, that's actually pretty bomb.
Also,
pretty cool to me.
Bart mentioned something here as well, is he would just cut the end of her sword and make it a bow staff, or just a bow, to make life easier. Um, but that's just me being a technical martial arts dork. Yeah. Yeah, but that's another side of role-playing games and miniatures. You can do things like that, and you can actually change things by doing that. So there's guys who take Warhammer, for example, and will cut off the arm and change it with a different arm that is maybe holding a different gun or whatever, and that changes the stats of the character. And that's the thing. Once again, power to you, role-playing. You can do it your way, as you just said now. Hey guys, this is actually a great place to use your Super 7 reaction, Joes.
Oh, that's true, actually.
Crickets.
I don't know. You'd have to work up a character sheet for Honolulu West. I mean, they want to go deep on the roster with those reaction figures. And all I can say is, go to it, my friends. They'll be the deepest roster of characters I'll never buy.
I would actually maybe go as far as to say that I would probably buy the characters before I buy the rulebook. I buy the miniatures before then. It's something that like Jim and I have spoken about. That's Jim Godfrey. And I have spoken about a bit before, is like, how cool would it be if they just did GI Joe miniatures? And by extension, even if we just had miniatures of the vehicles as well, how great would that be? And so far, I'm loving that we're seeing Jinx, which is just so great to see, as opposed to another Snake Eyes. Don't get me wrong, Snake Eyes is great, but it is not exactly the most exciting figure to paint as a miniature. It's just great to get. It's just great
Leave
to have
him in
something.
the original black. Easy.
Exactly.
Done.
It's cool to have something with some Joes from the roster. So when you say things like Honolulu, I'm like, yeah, I'll paint Honolulu, as long as I don't have to deal with another Roadblock again or another Snake Eyes again. I can happily take the variety because it's the spice of life, as they say.
I can almost feel us doing role-playing sessions in the future.
I would love that so much.
I think there would be a lot of fun to do.
And we would be serious. Like, that would be the rule, right? We would get in there and
obviously.
be like, you're going to be your character. So whoever's playing Snake Eyes, you're going to WhatsApp everybody?
Write it down on a piece of paper.
Gents, shall we reach into Postbox the Pit as we wrap things up? I think it's time.
Should.
Yeah.
Got a great email from Wes Prophet. If you want to write the show, arealsouthafricanhero@gmail.com is the address you want to use. We'll leave it in the description as well. Or you can just write us in the comment section wherever you are watching this video. But Wes says, hello all, great last episode, 212. I wanted to share my top 5 dream list, but first to touch on the topic of the Russian Mi-24 Hind that was discussed. As to Rob's amazement that those were not actually hinds in Rambo, I too was taken back and thought back to when I was a young Joe growing up in Kansas, and my first time seeing the movie Red Dawn, and the scene where the ragtag team of Wolverines were caught off guard and swooping over the rocks was this huge helicopter. I was under the impression of this being a hind. I never thought that it was good old Hollywood using its magic again. I would later discover what a true MI hind would look like via a book I received for Christmas on warplanes and helicopters. But still, that image/scene of that helicopter was so intimidating. Thanks, Steve, for clearing up the confusion. You're welcome, Wes. Yeah, no, look, fortunately, coming from South Africa, the Aerospital Puma, which the South African Defense Force uses, the French helicopter, is a shape that is well known to me. And I only ever watched Rambo First Blood Part 2 and Rambo 3 as an adult. So yeah, I guess I wasn't hoodwinked. Anywho, getting onto his list. Dun, 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 dun. Start salivating, guys. Here we go. His top 5 list. Number 5, the Mauler. He's never owned one. Hey, brother, it's a beautiful tank.
It's a beautiful tank. Oh.
Don't let it have a... Number 4, Jetpack. The Jump. with silver Grand Slam. So pricey now. Yeah, silver paint, my friend. But hey, there's always the old permanent marker or silver marker AVAC trick from last week. The original Missile Command HQ with box. Oh my goodness, you are a sucker for pain, because that's hardcore. Any like cardboard play sets, I just think to myself, that's just unlikely. I mean, those boards are going to be so chipped and marked and faded. It's tricky. So yeah, heartbreak stuff indeed. The Terradrome, he's already got the Firebat and the AVAC pilot. Nice,
good.
bro.
You're half. You won half the battle.
Yeah, you certainly knocked out a very fiddly thing to try and cobble together after the fact. And number one, the Defiant. Man, oh man. Yep. Good luck,
Hey, Steve,
buddy.
I gotta say, if there's one piece that you own that I envy a little, is the Defiant. And I mean, I say that with love, because I don't think I'll ever own one. But that's one piece in your collection that I'm like,
It's yeah, you're equally cursed and blessed as an owner of a Defiant. I'll say that much. It's terrifying. Shall we tuck into some of the Facebook responses? Now, this is where things really got interesting. Certainly, the most discussion happened over on the Facebook group when it came to coming up with people's wish list items. Gary V chimed in almost immediately with a very eclectic mix. He's looking for a GI Joe Crossfire. Yeah, one that works, no doubt. Tricky. Number 4, Mad Max action figures. He wants Mezco or Legends style. So I suppose the 6-inch Mad Max figures. Number 3 would be the Cobra Silent Castle. I assume that's a wish list fantasy item. Number 2, the General. Yeah. Tricky to find generals that have all their greeblies. I mean, there are plenty of general husks going around, but yeah, I feel your pain on that one, Gary. And his number 1 is a fantasy pick, the Cobra Aspid. You guys know what that is, right?
get in line, buddy.
That's the chopper, right?
Yeah.
It still confuses me that it has a name now. Like, it's just the transport chopper.
I have trouble with like adopting fan naming conventions, because like at least Hasbro, when they put out a product and it has a really strained acronym, it's accepted by all. But like when it's just us coming up with it, like that's adding a lot of credence to someone's fanfic. I'm such a snob. All right, another friend of the show, JD Onesie. My list of things I wish existed but do not. Maybe one of them will someday be, but the rest are nonsense pipe dreams. You would like a classified Serpentor? Yes. Come on, that's surely that's in the pipeline. Vintage Python Patrol AVAC. Interesting. Well, if you find one with really bad silverware, just paint it up however you want. I mean, JD's a dab hand with the painting. Then
there's
classified.
There's a Python Patrol AVAC. Sorry, like.
No, there isn't. It's
okay.
a fantasy item.
Sweet. I was about to say, where was I when that happened?
But you know what?
Yeah.
I think I know where he's going with that, because who flies the Pythonized Conquest?
The Cobra Viper, duh. I know. Just, yeah.
A classified series Super Trooper. Oh, my man loves his chrome. Hey,
dude, if we could even get Super Trooper, and they could get what's that wonderful human being's name again? He was the head of marketing for GI Joe. Because Super Trooper's based off his face as well.
Oh, Bazigian.
Yes, if they got Bazigian's face sculpt like down for that would be so cool. Yeah, Kirk.
Yeah, man. We met him, dude.
Yeah,
he was
so
on a
cool.
tour with a bunch of like giddy fans, and they got on like the same trolley that we were on in Chattanooga.
Yes.
And man, he kept looking our way like Those boys have a funny accent. It's like, are they here for the convention? Do they know who I am? Like, why are they being weird? Why aren't they saying hi?
And we're sitting there going, it's Kirk Bazigian.
It's motherfucking law, man. It's law.
What do we do now?
I want to get my picture taken with law and rub it in Alistair's face.
Which we did, didn't we?
I totally did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
JD rounds out his list with a vintage Honolulu West. Funny, she just got a mention by me, but yeah, Sunbow. Look, he might get his wish granted. It'll just be in 5-point of articulation. And then the GI Joe Mudbuster in realistic military camouflage, forest, and desert. Once again, JD, I'm telling you, man, you do the customizing. Just get one of those 1993 teal abominations and paint it however you want it. Come on. Then we've got Tony Roberts, Mr. Analog Toys himself.
Cool.
In the number 1 spot, USS Flag. In the number 2 spot, USS Flag. Number 3 spot, USS Flag. Number 4 spot, USS Flag. Number 5 spot, USS Flag. And hilariously, Facebook has decided that is in a different language. Because I've got the little tab that I can see translation, and then I hit it and then get a little like loading symbol, and then it is exactly the same. Thanks for that, Facebook.
It's a big toy. It would definitely take up more than one space on the list.
Well, hopefully it's only a matter of time.
Like 5 pigs.
Analog Toys needs a flag. People would love to hear Tony's take on the flag, because he is just such an enthusiastic guy. And he would really inject a lot of passion into a flag review. So I hope that can somehow come about through the miracle of the internet, commerce, and community.
Logistics. Yeah.
Brent McMillan had me in stitches. It's kind of a visual gag that doesn't really work when I speak it, but in the number 1 spot, it's just the word original. Number 2 spot, V1.5. Number 3 spot, with. Number 4 spot, unreleased. Number 5 spot, head sculpts. All in capitals. So put that all together and it says, original V1.5 with unreleased head sculpts. Do you guys know about that?
I don't.
No.
For a time, when they were doing the Swivel Arm series in 1983, or for 1983, the characters, I think Breaker, Zap, and I'd like to think maybe Rock and Roll, but there were head sculpts done up to make them more unique and not just like carbon copies. Like, those are the bearded guys, those are the good-looking guys, and those guys over there, those Michael Ironside motherfuckers. Yeah, so basically Zap had his pencil mustache. I think Breaker was clean-shaven. Flash looked like Flash, like sort of auburny, strawberry red hair. So yes, those were unreleased. They never wound up doing them. So the V1.5s had the same old ugly head sculpts. So yes, if they could be tooled up and done, that would certainly make Brent's wishes come true. And probably a lot of Joe fans out there dying to have slightly more accurate looking OG-13 guys.
That's crazy. I never knew there was a thing.
That's quite a unique pick, actually.
Ryan Sweeney gives us his top 5. At number 1, it's Hasbro GI Joe 3 3/4 inch O-ring figures. That's pretty broad. I appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you. Number 2, classified road pig with bike. And Ryan and I have spoken about this off air. Like, that would be a pretty enormous buck. And coming with a bike as well. So that's a lot of plastic. Thanks, Hasbro. Number 3, classified Thunder Machine with Thrasher. Sweet as. Number 4, classified Serpentor. Oh, yeah. Oh, certainly one of the the strongest vehicles from the vintage line, and not a huge vehicle, but yeah, certainly at 6-inch scale, it would be considerable.
And don't snub Thrasher. Thrasher is actually a very cool looking figure. There's a lot of cool stuff going on with him. Very good toy.
Yeah, he's got like a 2-pack, doesn't he? I don't know. Was the sculpting game in 1986 not able to like do 6-packs, like really ripped physique, or maybe Thrasher's he's just got a unique, Well, I mean, it's a gummy rat swilling, grape soda drinking physique. Anyways, I digress. Ryan would also like to see a classified Serpentor with air chariot. Popular choice. Hopefully it's in the works.
I hope that happens.
And of course, classified V1 Storm Shadow. It's only a matter of time, right? I think let's take 2 more. Let's do it. Zazel, Mr. Sergeant Slaughterhouse himself says, at the risk of sounding like a one-trick pony, 2021 is the year of Sergeant Slaughter. Mattel Ultimate Edition USA Sergeant Slaughter, Ringside Collectibles Iraqi Sympathizer Sergeant Slaughter, Masters of the WWE Universe Sergeant Slaughter, and Action Force Sergeant Slaughter are all due for release this year. Thankfully, I've managed to secure all but that blasted Walmart exclusive Master of the WWE Universe Sergeant Slaughter. It will be mine. Oh yes, it will be mine. Yes, I certainly hope so too. It's a shame because there is the sort of equivalent of Walmart here in Australia, and I think they're affiliated somehow. It's called Big W. I mean, come on. Big W, Walmart, surely.
Oh, that's not what I thought. Actually.
There must be a connection.
But apparently not. Walmart exclusives are very much Walmart exclusives.
Well, it's the same as like Game Here is technically Walmart. In fact, Steve, if you go into a game now, it looks like Walmart, like the layout, everything. So,
but Australia has Target as well, and do we get Target exclusive GI Joe classifieds? Hell to the no.
We have Toys R Us here in South Africa. Did we ever get Toys R Us exclusives? Nope.
No.
Yeah. So,
but now we exclusively have Toys R Us. So, suck it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Swings and roundabouts. I was about to say, like, if you're in the United States and you're having trouble with distribution, well, we're all on shit street, unfortunately. Let's round it out with Mr. Creech at number 1. Temple Doom / Silent Castle playset. It has to have the Arena of Sport in it. Oh yes. That'd be pretty sweet. Damn, it would be huge because that arena, I mean, it was like a coliseum within the Cobra Temple. Wow.
Dong, 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 dong.
Sweet. I know, right? I can hear it in my head now. Totally going to watch Master Vice after this. Number 2, the third-part USS Flag mentioned at Joe Fest. Ah, yes. The Screamin' Eamon custom. Well, yeah, let's see what it looks like first. But they say it'll have an all-plastic construction, so this is going to be epic. At number 3, a 1980s style battleship for Cobra with, wow, a whole lot of stuff. I mean, his technical rider goes on to specify that he wants like 3-barreled cannons in the front and a hangar with VTOL pad in the rear for rattlers, hurricanes, claws, trouble bubbles, etc.
Love it. So much detail.
Like all the VTOL stuff, but obviously more defensive weapons in the rear, but you get the idea. Yeah, come on. It's got to have one of those close quarters chain gun systems. You know the things I'm talking about that intercept, like basically shoot anti-ship missiles out of the sky.
Oh, those are good. Yeah, I've seen those in movies.
So sick. Oh, yeah. At number 4, he's going to cheat a little here. This is one item, but a 6-pack of the original O-ring style figures. They are as follows: Saturn, I suppose, from Weather Dominator. No, Pyramid of Darkness. Honolulu from Weather Dominator. Cobra La Pythona. Oof. Sexiest bald chick I ever met. I'm putting words in Andrew's mouth, but that applies to me. Sergeant Weedler, aka Zorana. So this is probably from the episode where her and Mainframe have their little romance. and CoverGirl with long blonde hair, like in the Master Vice episodes,
Mm.
and finally Scarlet with long hair, as in the cartoon series. So yeah, absolutely. Like there are female characters that we really wish we could have gotten, but toy economics of the 1980s meant that we only got one female per year until 1988. So yeah, there are definitely some holes to be filled, and this would be a crazy six-pack to get.
Pardon the pun.
Shut up, Paul. No, you're terrible.
I mean, I was gonna say one bun for like a wave of hot dogs, but hey, whatever. Play it how you want it.
And finally, Andrew rounds it out with a large-scale original GI Joe HQ that we enjoyed watching in the cartoons, where Sky Strikers can roll out of the front for launch, a host of internal avenues for Joe training and living. Oh yes, oh yes. I don't know, man. This is something that I feel like could probably be achieved by most of us with just a sort of a modicum of like carpentry skills. Because the GI Joe HQ doesn't have to be technically molded. It's basically a piece of furniture. If you create shelving units, for instance, you could probably work something like this up and just create internal rooms, carve out doorways. Sure, it'd be nice to buy the damn thing lock, stock, and barrel, but it's going to set you back a pretty penny. And I mean, all it is really is like, it's just a shelving unit, essentially, into which you populate figures, equipment, dio pieces. So, man, if I was in a more permanent location, this is something that I would seriously give some thought to. But, as a comic book fan, first and foremost, I would probably tend more towards converting a cupboard into the various levels of the pit. Because the cupboard is already there. It can disappear from view when not in use. And then when you want to play or take pictures or do play motions, you fling open the doors and you've got the various levels. Obviously, a nice big level for the with a tall sort of ceiling for the heavy equipment. And then as you move down to briefing chambers, things get smaller. As you move down to living quarters, then it's very claustrophobic. But you get what I mean. Like it's easier to do an underground installation because it could just occupy a cupboard.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've often looked at shelving in places like Builder's Warehouse and whatnot and thought, maybe I should just convert that into a playset for something like The Pit or Cobra Castle or something. And just you could actually just line the shelves in. You guys could easily go and buy some cardboard or filler or styrene or whatever that you needed to do, and you could dress those shelves up to be what you needed them to be. And because they have removable shelf pieces, you could cut into them with a jigsaw or something to create your stairwells and maybe your elevator or whatever it is that you needed. Yeah, you could really get into that. That's actually very creative, Steve. Nice.
And Darren wants to interrogate me further on which pit I would like to see basically occupy a cupboard in the house. Sorry, Kim. It would probably be pit number 1. It would be Fort Wadsworth. The tricky thing is it has got surface structures, but that I suppose you can kind of play out elsewhere. You can kind of like hit pause on the game and go outside and set up the 3 buildings. The one that has the kind of the lifts, the hydraulic lifts, the other one that has the helicopter launch pad. There's a third, I'm sure, a water tower, something like that, with an emergency escape access. But yeah, it would be pit 1, the classic, the great cross section. I think it was in issue 1 of GI Joe. You can't beat a classic. Like pit 3 in Utah starts becoming a little amorphous. Like there has been an attempt at like giving us a cross section of it, particularly in the IDW modern run, but that thing just becomes like ever expanding. Like now it incorporates like a place where they keep the Transformers, basically. Yeah, at one point the Transformers were going to be quartered in the Pit 3. That continuity is crazy, man. There's no stopping it.
Yeah, in the Devil's Due run, if memory serves, there is a schematic of the pit where the Transformers are also housed, the Autobots.
Is it? No. Well, they've got the.
I could be wrong.
It's set into. I think Devil's Due.
Yeah.
They set GI Joe's headquarters into a mountainside.
Yeah, I just remember something there. I'm not seeing it too clearly right now. Maybe somebody in the comments will help us out with that and be like, "No, you guys are stupid," and we'll be like, "Okay."
Also, like
Yes, we are.
When GI Joe was quartered at the chaplain's assistant motor pool in Fort Wadsworth, like they weren't trying to incorporate like an aircraft catapult. Like if GI Joe needed air transport, or if Ace needed to scramble his Sky Striker, it would be out of the Maguire Air Force Base. So probably the GI Joe pilots are kept off base, like they probably quarter there, while the rest of the team live, work, and reside in the pit. So you've got your air jockeys with their planes, and the rest of the guys kind of drive out to Maguire Air Force Base. So there's more realistic understanding of how these things fit together. Like I could never quite get my head around. I mean, the Defiant is one thing that came out of the ground, but like if you have a X-19 taking off from the Pit 3, like is it taking off up a ramp? Is it getting catapulted? How does it land? Because this is a sophisticated stealth fighter. I don't think it's too happy landing on a dirt strip. It's not a C-130.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Something for people to think about and rationalize. Hopefully in the comments below after they've liked this video, if you're watching it on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel, or tell us cool things. Tell us amazing things that you enjoyed about episode 213.
Otherwise, you can check out some of our awesome GI Joburg merch, which is comprised of images which are GI Joe-like, but for legal reasons are not completely GI Joe. And you can join these fine people over here and join our Berg Force. Yes, that's right. Do what these cool people have done and join our Patreon. And I'd also like to take this moment to just welcome Joe Hunter 73. You are on the wall, my dude. You are in the Berg now. Welcome to the club. And if you want to know how to join our Patreon, here is the link. And just while I'm showing off the link, you can also check it out in the description below. And a huge thank you and a shout out to all of our current Berg Force Patreon supporters. You guys rock. We feel the love, and thank you very much. And with that, I'd also just like to say that I watched Rambo 3 when I was very young, and because of the video game on the Mega Drive, they actually used a real hind in the video game for the boss fights, and so my brain always thought it was a real hind because of that. So, moving along. That's my parting thought.
I'm really excited to see this RPG at some point. Like first Paul introduces his kind of like version of it, and then some company is like, ooh, I like what Paul's doing over there. Let's maybe make an actual RPG. Let's make a card game based on this.
Hey, dude, wouldn't it be like really funny? And I mean, like, I don't think this is how it's going, but wouldn't it be really funny if they saw that episode and, you know, like they did this RPG, like they planned it 3 years ago? Because as was pointed out in the comments earlier, Duke has still got his gold trimmings. And maybe they shelved it and they were like, oh, yeah, this is never going to happen. Or maybe we're not going to do this. And then maybe somebody saw that episode and they were like, actually, wait, no, maybe there's a market for this. Let's try it out. But
People
it's not like
might
that.
Want this.
Yeah, no, it's not like that. It's wishful thinking. I think they just decided, well, people are at home and tabletop RPGs are kind of a thing right now because Dungeons and Dragons has been selling exceptionally well. And we're like, well, we've got to strike while the iron's hot, and we've got to do it like 5 times. So we're going to do Power Rangers, GI Joe, Transformers, and I wouldn't be surprised if My Little Pony is on the way as well to a tabletop role-playing group near you. Anyway,
hopefully not.
I'm excited about that. I would love to do role-playing sessions like that online. And it'd be cool to get some of the Berg Force involved and stuff like that too one day.
Heck
So
yeah, dude.
let's make that
Well,
happen.
we've got a great request already. Darren would like everyone to go home and do their character sheet.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
Thunder Shark.
You know, I need someone to hold my hand through all of that. So I'm afraid, yeah, my Steel Brigade guys, as far as it gets for now. You know, working through a character sheet for an RPG it's technical, it's mathematical, it's spending points.
Do you have dice?
Yeah, but like, how do you roll dice? You know, and what
Yeah, I
are
was
the
gonna
numbers
say.
on the dice?
Oh,
mean?
yeah,
It's confusing.
Guys, I dropped high school maths. Shocker. The
So did I.
actor decided he had enough of this numbers shit. Actually, by that stage, it wasn't even numbers. It was algebraic expressions and
Oh my
trigonometry.
goodness! They added letters into maths. It's maths. Maths doesn't
I
have
had to-
letters in it.
I had to drop technical drawing because I didn't take maths on that senior level, and they were all like, "Well, you know what? When you get to like grade, 11, you're not allowed to like have two, periods or two subjects that involve drawing. So like, screw you. We're gonna take the one away from you." And I was like, "Oh, fuck you guys." And the irony is, and I'm sorry to say this, but the irony is that I was one of the stronger technical drawing students in the school. Never mind, so.
Because
they
you
lost.
draw so good, boy.
I draw so good, and when you're giving me a ruler and an eraser, I can draw very good, especially if it's just architectural things.
Architectural.
Fantastic.
All right, so let's close it out, you hogs. Me love you long time, but I'll see you in 7 days, boys.
Absolutely.
Boys.
Have a good week,
Yes.
everyone. Have a good time.
Yeah.
Keep it real. Keep it Joe.
Thanks for joining us, and be sure to check out those videos if you haven't already. Snake Eyes review on GI Joburg, The Coils of Cobra Part 3 on GI Joburg, the final file cards by Cujo, the podcast and YouTube version should be live by now, and also Datalinks Magnus's Operation Arrowhead on his channel.
And I'm going
Links
to
in the
blow
description
kisses at
below.
Ryan and MCDJ, ACDC, and the rest of the Berg Force.
Yep, thanks for joining us, live studio audience.
Cheers, and yo, Joe.
Never gets old.
Retreat! Retreat!